It's great, and I see the airplanes taking off up there. And there's a story I wanted to tell about the airport, but I can't tell it. Yeah, I can't tell it. No.
Oh, come on, tell it. We don't care.
Pretty.
Does anyone have any questions for the two of us?
Yeah, and we'll answer it together. Yes. The strangest things we've ever been asked to sign. No, thank you. You had to sign some body parts, haven't you?
Body parts is happening. Body parts. I haven't had anything really strange. So underwear, but then
Underwear on a body part?
things that can't be washed. Food, that's always an odd thing. Nothing really strange. I mean, probably. What's the strangest thing you've asked somebody to sign? If you've asked somebody to sign something strange. This is your dog.
Dog.
Dog? No, I understand. I think I'll let you be misheard for.
I once had a beer in a restaurant that was adjacent to a convention, and I put the glass down, and I went back, this is in Germany, and then somebody came up in the reception line with the glass of beer, with the empty glass.
Empty now.
Empty.
Right. You just went to the lavatory.
Yeah.
That's a full glass of beer. No, I guess it was unfortunate because walk on my but that's what I wanted.
It wasn't at all. Not at all. I mean, people were barely, they were so bored with me. They were trying, they were working hard to think of questions to ask.
A question?
How do you guys feel about, so far beyond the Stars episode and now, the second one in the season, how they brought Benny back? How do you guys feel about it going in that way?
Storyline I haven't followed closely. I have to be frank. I don't know much about Cisco.
Boy, then we're lost here.
We're in trouble.
I'm sorry to say. Yeah, I mean,
Oh boy.
I love the actor who plays Cisco's dad, and I saw him a couple of times. That's right, Benny.
Yeah. Well, Benny is that joke. And he's right.
I can't go back into here.
Have you been foolish enough to ask Star Trek questions? We're the people who don't know the answers.
We should be asking you these questions.
There's a friend of Garrick's who is no longer a friend of his anymore. He plays the Doctor on Deep Space Nine. I know he's not the hologram.
And it's got a 5 o'clock shadow. Yes, ma'am.
If you could leave one episode as a legacy for your children, which one would it be and why?
I can include Seinfeld in that.
Something you were in.
Something I was in. Gosh, as far as my children are concerned, and something that both of us, they would see both of us, not necessarily that would be a qualifier, but one that they would probably enjoy for their mother too would be Our Man Bashir. So I think that would be, they'd have fun with it until, I don't know what age you grow out of that kind of fun. So that would be the one. Out of all the ones we've done, there's some obviously more worthy shows that we've done, and more shows obviously in depth, more, I don't know, controversial, but I think Our Man Bashir is the one that I would leave for children. At the moment, I still think of children as ants. My children are still ants and they get into everything. So I think all of them.
Well, the Tribble
You have a
episode,
very
then,
sophisticated child indeed.
Yeah,
You
no.
could leave her own episode. That's right.
Now, I actually, one of the episodes, obviously The Wire, that I'd be in. But one that I wasn't in that I would I would leave would be one that Nana and my friend Harris Ewing did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I found really effective and personally means a lot to me.
Yeah, that's a great show. Probably one of the best they've done. Serious shows. We miss that kind of show.
I really do.
They used to bite them off once in next generation. Learning on any show. Maybe making Voyager does UX type shows. Do they still?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, except what was the one that Tim directed, the museum, Living Witness. Yeah. I mean, that had certainly a very serious foundation to it. But still, it's one thing. See, the thing about those shows is that you get a script that's like that, and then you get performances that really lock in, like what Sid and I were doing in The Wire, and like what Harris and Nana were doing in Duet. That's when it becomes a complete package. Why
This camera had like 64 films, 64 shots. It's
it's Karen's way of getting attention. Oh, I see. All right.
It has Energizer batteries.
This is my Energizer battery. See how the room is picked up? Yeah. You know, of those on the periphery, if you were ignoring you, just scream, "Hey, idiot!"
I have heard that next season, this is the final season of Tuesday, that it's going to be one single story arc with a war continuing of some sort. Have the two a team, have they supported that or not?
Well, you might I put on a serious face and
A couple have, but to be really frank with you, that was, our writers aren't the sort of writers who write an entire season before the show begins airing, or even shooting. Our writers, whatever can be said about them, tend to they write on the fly. So, for example, they might have...
Right. That's right, yeah.
They might have 2 or 3 shows up their sleeve, but they don't really know what's going on from one minute to the next. And I don't know that they have a complete story at all, to be honest. I think that was a little piece of glorification. That would be wishful thinking.
I think that's true. That's actually a good point. It is. I mean, you know, they try to make themselves like they tell you these things. They have these interview columns with Rick Berman. Well, and whatever. Who's that guy in that magazine who has the column with Rick Berman? Eric. No, not
Ian Spelling?
Ian. One of them.
No.
Anyway, so we're going to ask Rick these questions this month. So this guy calls her Rick Berman. He asks me these questions, and Rick says the first thing that comes off, you know, and it's totally reactive, and it's totally fiction, you know, and the same thing. So, you know, when it's circus.
Well, Rick, did you read the last interview, the big interview where Rick spoke? He said, yeah, well, by the end of the 7th season, the last show, we're hoping to have Deep Space Nine finally making it home.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know how many folks you've been in so far, but with respect to the question about where's it going, have they gotten you guys back together at all?
No.
It's got great chemistry.
We haven't heard of him.
No. I just don't know. I mean, I would think that they would try. I mean, just as a tip of the hat to the relationship, that's obviously a very popular and a very successful one, try to have something that would be, you know, at least a valedictory scene between the two of us. You know, goodbye. Now, I would not expect to, you know, to like try and get it. As I say, it's too late to get this relationship. We missed the opportunity to get this relationship to the next level after Our Man Bashir. They missed that boat entirely. So I don't know.
There's a wonderful opportunity for them if they want to use it, and that's Section 31.
Well, that's who mentioned that earlier about that. You know, why in that? Yeah, I mean, somebody did mention it. Right? Exactly.
They say Section 31's coming back, but they said Armand Bashir is coming back, and they said that on air. So I don't know if they really mean it. To be honest, I don't know I don't know how it works yet.
That's how they killed the sheriff.
Yes, it could be. It could be too. The whole place goes up.
Yes, 1, Stephanie, 2, and 3.
Did Terry talk about spin-off show after season is over or a movie?
No talk about movie. Well, there's always talk about everything when it comes to movies, but they don't actually mean it.
I think it's slim chance.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, Paramount are going to, I should imagine, stop for a while. I mean, it did them a lot of good before The Next Generation came out, so just stop for a little while. Not do like whatever it was, 15 years before they brought out the first show, Next Generation. I don't know how long it was. They might just give it a rest and say, well, let's just generate some interest again in the whole franchise and come back with something really new when we can think of it. I'd certainly like them not to bring out another show in a cynical way, just for the sake to fill a market hole. It seems, I mean, not that I have any.
But I bet they will.
They'll try. They maybe will try. I've heard all sorts of rumors bandied about, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just stopped. At least until they know who's going to run it. I mean, I know that some of the bosses don't necessarily want to be involved. So I'm not quite sure, to be honest. And I think somehow, if it's going to be next year, which would be the obvious time to start another spin-off when one goes down, then they'd have it in the works already. And I know that they have. They're trying to work out movie ideas, but they do that to be safe. They do that to have movie ideas in case they don't use them. I don't know if anyone here is a writer, but it's the most infuriating thing in the world. If you have a book that somebody loves, they option it to the studio, and they have movie ideas for it, and they never do it. So the fact that they're working on it doesn't mean they're actually going to do it at all. It's like 10% away. I don't believe there's much of a story. I think what you might see one day, in my own personal theorizing, is that you're going to get a lot more greatest hits of Star Trek. You're going to get shows where everybody is involved. So you're going to get maybe Picard and Cisco and the Holosuite Doctor together. You're going to get, they're going to use all these different personalities and put them all in one show so they can't miss with what's right. It seems to me they've built a huge stable. They might as well have an all-star team, and that's pretty much what I suppose they're doing. It's too cheap for them as far as they're concerned. It's more expensive to start a new show.
All right, listen, I'm going to bow out and let you, leave the stage, to see you later. Thank you very much. Wait, babe. I'm going to leave you one thing before I go.
You actually had that on, didn't you?
Well, oh, was all right. We'll ask it now.
We were that close to getting rid of him.
Back to you later. Because this is a family community, we see what's going on. I'm over here selfish. Star Trek fans like, I miss Jefferson, and I miss Terry, and I like the Jefferson.
Yeah, I do. There was such a sweetness about Terry. And I'll be honest with you. I'll be really honest with you. At first, when I first worked with Terry, I thought, oh God, man, she's not up to the rest of the rest of the cast and so forth. And then, but I realized that she brought something that the rest of the cast did not have, which was a vulnerability, a sweetness, because she's a genuinely good person. And it got to the point where not only did I look forward to working with her, but my dream episode, somebody asked me about my dream episode, and I even pitched it to the writers, was a Cyrano version, but which they did, that I actually directed with Armin and Grilka and that's, yes, thank you. But I did it for Garrick and Dax. So forth. That's, because Garrick falls, incredibly hopelessly in love. But then, but I did it with Bashir. But then Garrick is Garrick is this incredible lyric poet that's writing poetry that's, yeah, I'll put that in diaries, yeah.
too. I think I got lost into my dream episode. I remember thinking, I don't have a dream episode. But Andy did, and I thought, I wish I had a dream episode. I might have been able to do that. He gave me this as I came in as a ticket. Somebody might be losing because I've got it.
Person on the ticket. Have to yell that name.
Oh, I do? Gail? Is this like Lord of the Flies? People are telling me what to do, and they're telling me to do something wrong here. Yeah. I'm not naive. Oh, I am supposed to read the first one. Oh, thank you. I was like, someone finished halfway. I didn't realize there was a cup there. Oh, okay, whatever. Same guy who took Andy's beer. I needed that because I fell totally asleep about 20 minutes ago. So I'm up now. I'm prostrate on Andy's sofa upstairs. Thank you, Andy. Yes. Dream episode, no, Dax. Yes, I thought today, when I was, I saw some photos today. I don't know why today I thought that, but it struck me because someone gave me some photos and there was Dax and Bashir and they were walking on in the show that, Renee directed. And, I thought, oh yeah, I miss her. It is interesting not to have, I mean, it is kind of, in a sad way, that there's, I don't know, there's something we're missing in the show, and I wish she was still there. And she did bring something totally different. You know, there's a kind of, we were together for 6 years, and we went through a whole lot of different stuff, and but certainly our characters went through a whole lot of different stuff, you know, and the first 2 years were intense. And we were always wondering whether or not we were going to get together or not get together ourselves, as much as anybody else was. And I suppose after all that time, you know, not being here anymore, and there's another Ezra, another Dex, who I don't associate at all, who's very sweet as well, terrific actress, everything like that. Nicole DeBoer is an excellent person, and but she's not Terry Farrell. She's like, they could have brought her along, and Terry Farrell could still be there. But as far as I'm concerned, there was not necessarily a need for a replacement. It was an inevitable split, and she ended up laughing all the way. She's very happy to Becca, you know, and she's still on the lot, ironically, and she's working for the same people who with whom negotiations collapsed when we were doing negotiations. Except she's starting again on a new show at a far higher rate than she was when she left. They're probably like, you should have left her on Star Trek. I think she's very happy. I haven't been in touch with her, I have to say, but I will do. I will. Yes.
Last night we were all watching the first 2 episodes of the TV, and many of the comments had to do with Kira's hair. Not hair really like that.
No, it's interesting. Gail mentioned it to me on the phone. It's like, well, what's Kira's hair? I don't know. Like most men, I didn't notice. So, you know, I mean, that's tragedy, but I really was like, I still don't notice anything odd about the hair, but I do now. I sort of thought about it. I think it might be changed because it looks perfectly alright for me now. And we're in the 7th or 8th show, and we're filming the 7th or 8th show this season. So I'm not sure that it. What was it? It had a big braid. I think it does that. I think it still does that, but it's a bit more. I don't know. I really don't know. I kind of don't care. I mean, I just don't really care. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. I don't know whether or not men always do that, but you know, wife forever coming back home and then platinum blonde, and it's like, oh hi honey, there's some baseball on. I'll be. And did you notice anything different? And you know, there are sitcoms about this, and I'm sure I'm one of those guys. But it didn't really occur to me, and it wasn't a big hoo-ha that it usually is. I mean, normally when somebody has a new hairdo on the show, it's a huge deal. They have to go up to Rick Bowman's office, they get photographs, they come back again, they go to the makeup department, they try it with cream-colored clothes, they try it with purple clothes, they take photographs, they film a little. They go to Rick Bowman's office, they come back again. It's the most exhaustive process. And this time it just happened with a kind of whimper, and his hairdo changed. And I remember thinking, but I think it looks better in real life than it does on screen, but then I haven't seen it on screen. And I'm only assuming it doesn't look good because everybody's mentioning it. Because she has these really wonderful braids in there, and they're really more appropriate in terms of Bajoran, and they're pretty unusual and weird. And I think I don't know if they carry on screen because it's all in the light. In real life, of course, there's no problem seeing all the stuff in the hair. So I'm not sure, and I'll hold my judgment to have a look at one of those shows. Yes.
Speaking of ladies and gentlemen of baseball, did you have fun taking after the Hall Suite?
We had a good time making
There's a
it.
girl shared the photos with us. She said what she did for
Yeah.
the location.
Oh, good.
And she put them in the newsletter.
Good.
Really nice.
I'm glad. They're all over the place. I mean, I never worn a baseball.
I've seen some, everybody in the photos are really.
Well, we had a good time. We went to this college down in Santa Monica, and we played baseball for 4 days. We didn't really play baseball. I mean, that was the thing. Bashir, I'm always very angry well, not angry, but I'm always remarking when Bashir, who is this extraordinarily genetically enhanced human. And we play baseball with the Balkans, and Bashir doesn't even make a hit.
No.
And I'm like, well, actually, I'm not sure that could happen. At least let it show him throwing a ball, because he could throw it pretty rapidly, or at least pick it up and throw it pretty
And
rapidly.
I think.
So anyway, they didn't. They were like, well, not in this one. And I was like, that's two people in answer. There's important things. But nevertheless, so you won't see Bashir throw a ball. You'll see him miss a ball, I think, several times. So you assume he's a second season Bashir, playing baseball. Odo's the umpire.
Oh, no.
And he's like, you're out! Huh?
It could be home plate.
Yeah. Good, I know. The Balkans did a really not very logical thing to challenge our cast to a game of baseball. Because not only, you're right, do we have a genetically enhanced person with amazing hand-eye coordination? We have a captain whose baseball history is forever and ever and ever. We have Colin Meaney, who... We have Sirach, who all sorts of extraordinary people on the set. But nevertheless, they made a match of it. I'm sure it'll be a good show to watch. I'm sure it'll be funny. I think it was supposed to be funny. I think it's, big and everything.
What's the whole metaphor thing? Like, hold on.
There's a whole metaphor thing going on. And also, I'm not sure, the holosuite's all really screwed up for me now. I don't know what the holosuite does anymore. I used to know. I used to go, okay, you go in the holosuite, you ask for what you need, it appears, and you do it, and then you leave, and it goes. But now we leave, and Vic's still there, like, looking at his nails. The holosuite goes on when we leave. What is that? That's extraordinary to me. It's like looking in the mirror and leaving, and your person's still in the mirror. So anyway, I don't know, but I'm not sure. It's not for me to argue about the technicalia of the holosuite program. I'm sure they'll come up with some very good excuse if I do say something about it.
You sound a good bird.
That's true.
It was wonderful when O'Brien and Bashir were probably that function the whole suite.
Good. Well, the suite has an awful lot of functions as far as I'm concerned. I got a lot of storylines. Every time Bashir has a storyline, it's pretty much through the holosuite. Bashir through the holosuite is our storyline, my recurring storyline on one level or another. So I love that. And it gets us out of the old costumes and into some nice clothes, or some different clothes, whether they be big yaks we're wearing, or strange beasts on our back. Or, Second World War. Yeah, I think that we're just trying to do that. For those of you who remember the Melora storyline, I don't know, but I know that, I think we just did it again. But I can't be sure about that. But frankly, I think we might have just done Melora once again. Just with different cars. Except me, it was the same. But hopefully, it's a good show anyway, I hope. We just shot it in a few weeks ago, so it won't be out forever. but then it'll be on every day. But, yes, ma'am. I'm going to say ma'am. Yes, even you.
Oh, you're a man. The kids started mamming me about a month ago. I
Oh,
don't think
no.
they told me
Is ma'am equated with age?
No.
What's non-age specific?
We thought.
Mid? Mid. Bobby. Yes, mid.
I've had this secret theory for a while now that Bashir is actually writing all of these poems in these programs. He always vaguely says something about some friend who's reading poems to each other. But like, the Vic stuff,
Yeah.
he's just sort of super hollow sweet, genetically enhanced. What do you think about that?
I
Is
think
it possible?
that would make sense. I mean, that would make more sense than Vic disappearing, because Vic is too extraordinarily super enhanced for a Hollywood program. It's an unusually developed Hollywood program, more so than just about anybody in the history of Star Trek. I mean, this guy is totally spontaneous.
That being the case, then Vic would in fact be Bashir's son.
You just call me man? Yes.
With Malcolm doing Fantasy Island
Yeah.
now, would you like to guest star and or direct Malcolm on a episode?
Always. Always. I saw a rough cut of the pilot of Fantasy Island, and I thought it was just terrific. I mean, it was a very rough cut. And I hear from around, and certainly the reviews have been very favourable to Fantasy Island, that it's a terrific show. So I don't know, it sounds great. And it's right up his street, you know. He gets to play Faust Devil, or Prospero, or whoever it is you want to say he is. And that's totally the dark side of Malcolm McDowell. He loves that kind of stuff. So, they don't know what hit him until they've done the second season.
Why is it that every time Bashir goes to a local conference, he has to put his shirt back? Are they jokes?
Absolutely true. Yeah, he's just not very responsible of the station, is he? Okay, maybe he has like a, I'm worth a few bucks. It's like Chief O'Brien's joke. See ya. Right about now he'll be, yeah, there you go. Don't get it. It's very convenient. That's absolutely true. I mean, you know that we can talk forever about the plausibility of Star Trek, and it's actually been one of the great conversations over the years, right back to the very beginning. And the fact is, whichever way you look at it, it's implausible. They just have lots of plausible stuff in it, and it's, I guess, what they call a blue sky drama. You know, where you don't really mind about the implausibility of some of it because a lot of it is just fun and interesting to watch. And certainly that's the way I justify it. It's hard to. I can't really take it to pieces. You know, if I take apart some of the Shakespeare plays, Act 3 of just about any Shakespeare play. Certainly, you know, late parts of King Lear or bits of Julius Caesar. This is the most implausible thing you've ever seen in the world. You know, it's not possible this could have happened. I mean, Lear is famous because they have no timeline. The timeline goes back a week, forward a week. I mean, as if 3 different people wrote it. But that's the situation. I'm not worried about the plausibility. Just sometimes it just gets in the way. It niggles me. It's like brushing past the cactus. You've always got bits of it. You're like, what on earth is that? And that's the only thing. I'll never fix it. It'll never fix itself. But I think when it does, it'll be a different show. Maybe are there any plausible sci-fi shows out there? Yeah. Oh, which one? Alien Nation. I haven't seen it.
They've got another one. It's all doctors in space.
We joked about that. It's so funny. We joked about that about 2 years ago. Some friends and I joked about that. They said, "Wow, man, we could do a spin-off. We could do like Doctors in Space." And we've done it. It's amazing to me. I mean, maybe they've got storylines, but there's not. I mean, maybe what do they do? There's no ambulances.
Oh, what are they doing?
Do they just bump into people? There's no car crashes. None of the staple diet of ER, you know, it can possibly happen in doctors' space, but they must have had a better idea for it to work.
It's not as bad as lawyers in space.
Runabout chasers.
Yeah, exactly. Runabout chasers. They're chasing the doctors in space. Now we've got the lawyers.
Space station where they bring all sorts of alien casualties.
That's it. It's just a parade of aliens. Just like, let's see how many aliens can get in and out of the place. Excuse me, I was talking again yesterday. I'll come down here. And I was, I don't know who I was talking to, but I remember Star Trek originally. I was thinking maybe it's I mean, I love aliens, and but you know when I switch off Star Trek. I used to in LA. I used to switch off Star Trek or Deep Space Nine, or I didn't switch off, but Facebook was at the end of the show. And straight after it came Babylon 5. And right on the heels of it, I don't know if they showed them concurrently where you are, because I know it's always different everywhere. But I was like, you know what? I can't see another alien. I can't watch any more aliens right now, so I'm going to have to switch off. And that's why I won't watch Babylon 5. And I don't know, I would like it. And they could certainly breathe life into a few of our actors like Renee Auberjonois and Arnold Schimmelman and Andy Robinson if we did a show where there were no aliens and it was just sci-fi and humans and get them all come and be the leads on that because no one would be able to be like, well, it's a totally different character. Because I thought that was what happened with the original cast and one of the things I liked. Spock was an alien, you know. I mean, it was sort of alien-y. He had funny ears, but that was it. There was really nothing else until they went to other planets. And that's what I'd like. I guess I would like to do one day, because that's what I liked about it. I was like, wow, what are they going to see this week? And this guy with a luminous head comes out. But it just gets a little bit, well, I don't need to see any more aliens, because I have them all the time here. And it was just a really interesting thing. I don't know if that's for you, but as a child, I used to just couldn't wait for them to land on a new planet and see the new alien of the week. It was always a fascination to me. Anyway, that's just a tip. I'm going over here now. Yeah. Well, like I was like being interrogated by Bald or something. If I could go back in time for those who didn't hear it, I don't know if you did, probably did. Where would I go, and what time would it be? Is that right? God. And that's what I did over there too. I did. And then we did a camera. Anyway. A time that I feel like, which isn't very exciting because it didn't just happen. A time that I think I would have enjoyed very much is probably the very turn of the century. I think I would have enjoyed that a lot. I don't know why. I think the whole, I used to think, well, I'd love to be in the 20s, you know, the flappers and all that stuff, and prohibition, you know, and all that. That's not so exciting over here, but it was in Europe at least. The 20s wasn't. I think that was a bit of a false thing. It was between two wars, and it kind of been too exciting. But I kind of would have liked the turn of the century. Just as Victorians were getting over themselves, you know, just as they were like loosening up a little and getting a few of the things out into the open, and there weren't quite so many obvious pedophiles around. Victorian times. I don't know. I think that's more the right time. Otherwise, I don't know. I know where he came from because the whole sweet things with Miles. I all like Irish mythology. I can't think of another time I would have survived very long. Because most of the times in history that I know, you have to be pretty big and bush in theory to survive more than 20 minutes. And the 20s, I could have just about imagined myself like an Oscar Wilde, repeatedly smoking a cigarette. But the Regency, now I don't have the carbs. You need good carbs for the Regency.
Get falsies like they did back then.
Have them made. I think that I don't know, that would have been fun. I don't know. What would you say? The Regency? You know, it was a time when women were at one of the most powerful times. I don't know much about the Regency, except there were times where they were. Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe that would have been a great fun. I don't know. And I've had to be a bit later on. I've been able to get away with being, all the different things that I am. And the turn of the century was a pretty liberal time. I like that.
They didn't have home base back then.
Baseball still eludes me.
Home Depot, whenever.
Oh, we're talking about baseball. Thank you. They didn't have home base back then. No, I would have had to join the Carpenters Guild. It would have been a real drag. You get 3 screws or whatever it is. That's not the same as legs. Was there a question over here? Because I feel like I've been going over there and doing that very rudely. Yes. You. Sorry.
Are you going to be directing any more shows?
I don't know. I don't know if Armin and Andy have been talking much about the whole directing thing. But it's a tricky deal negotiating a directing career within Star Trek, unless you're particularly good at corporate maneuvering. I don't know. Andy and I both suffered from one of the same. Well, I don't know if I've suffered really, but I did the same thing as Andy did. We both did Armin's show. And Armin's one of our favourite actors, and we both have very literal conceptions about what we think Armin should and shouldn't be doing as Quark. And we're actors, of course, so we have a certain perspective on that. Armin has the same perspective as us, coincidentally. So the producers see Quark as a... I don't remember Quark used to do... Well, yes, possibly a laughing stock. In times, he used to be the token, he used to be the not-so-cuddly teddy bear. And I think that's really where they'd like him to be, except it's terribly hard as an actor to sustain a not-so-cuddly cuddly bear persona. And certainly directing when you have lines. Say, this is an interesting show. The show Proper Than Lace, which we did last season. Some of you saw it. Was I'm sure. It was an interesting show because they came to me with this script and they said this is the funniest thing we've written ever. And I went, okay, that's pretty confident. I like this. I'm sure I'll have a good time with this. And I started having a good time with it. This is way before I started shooting it. This was just in the preparation period. And I was like working out this. Normally we'd get our script way late. And this time I got Act 1, which is very cool. Two weeks before the show started, I had at least Act 1 in my hand. Act 2 came a week later, and then Act 3 and 4 and 5 came very quickly after. So I had something to work with. And, we put this in here. Boys and boys. You're not making any noises except for that little logo. I thought, anyway, where was I? Well, I was so rudely interrupted. Judge Properly. It ended up, anyway, to cut a long story short, it ended up as a disaster. And the reason, it was a very interesting thing to do with disaster. It didn't really worry me on an ego level. I was perfectly happy with what was going on within the show. So I was never very, cut up about it. And I've been way too self-involved to be particularly fussed about what anyone has to say about how good I am. No, of course I'm brilliant. We were working on it, and I remember shooting some scene with Armin, and it was like, we'll put the camera here, and it was all the usual directing, arty-farty stuff that we have to do. And Armin did the scene, and we did it, we bent it, we talked about it, and we did it with movies, effectively. And they did it, and it became very heavy. There was a scene in that show where Armin and his mother confront each other in his quarters, and they fight. And they fought until she finally fainted. And we did this like one of the most horrific Chekhovian, dark, subtext-filled things. Not Chekhovian at all, in that they actually got really angry with each other, but it was full of subtext and that. So I loved it, and so did Armin, and we spent ages on it. And they looked at it, and they were horrified. They were like, how could you possibly do that? Because they really hurt each other, vocally. They really said things to each other in the most nasty way. And to me, it was total real life. I was like, well, when you take the boxing gloves off, it's just a horrific situation. You don't get much worse than domestic truth. It's like, you don't want to be there. No one wants to see two people without touching each other. Especially mother-child relationships or father-child relationships, whatever dynamic it is, through love. I don't know what, it gets pretty good when you get deep. But nevertheless, that's how it turned out. And they were just disgusted. They were like, you cannot show this on television, you cannot do it. So we reshot it. And once we reshot that, they were into a reshoot frenzy. We were reshooting everything, left, right. So we ended up reshooting 3 scenes, which I think is a record. Because it's a huge amount of work. I mean, it's 2.5 days work on a 7-day show. It's like $300,000. And, but for the last 2 scenes, they didn't need to at all. I mean, I understand creative differences between that one. But by the time we got through shooting everything, I had no idea what the continuity was in the show anymore. And I think probably, although I haven't seen it, the show probably looks like it's like 2 or 3 different shows in one. For example, there's a scene where Armin, it's so sad for Armin because he works his socks off. I mean, he works harder than just about any actor on our show. Not only does he work harder in terms of hours, but physically harder. He likes to come in and rehearse on weekends with his guest stars. Now, that is unheard of. I go to his house when I'm directing to talk to him about the part. Colm and I arrive on the first day of shooting for our part, and we don't even look at the lines until we're shooting the camera, and then we're like, do it. He knows his lines when he arrives. He has been rehearsing for days. He's been reading the script over and over, thinking about it. And then they do things to his character which I just don't think is fair. For example, there was a scene in this particular show. I know a lot of women, rightly or wrongly, got offended about the stereotypical nature of the character, or caricature he played. It looked like he played when he did the woman, Tony Curtis number, in this particular show. He didn't play a caricature in that at all. He played a very honest character. In fact, he did all sorts of things very especially so as not to offend anybody. But he wouldn't raise his voice so much, if he could help it. And there were times where he absolutely had to. There was a scene early on, which was cut from the original, the airing, which totally explained all this. It was a scene where he came out in front of the neighbors, Rom and Tiny Kim and all, and he said, I said, because he came out with a doctor, this was right after the operation, and he came out and he burst into tears, and everyone was like, what's the matter? And I was saying, listen, he's feeling a bit hormonal. It's going to happen for a while because he's had a huge overdose, basically, of hormones. So it'll wear off after a couple of days, don't worry, everything will be just fine, he'll return to normal. Now without that scene, you don't understand him always trying to break into tears, you don't understand him doing all the kind of, what you think of as stereotypical stuff. Because all it is pregnancy acting. You know, it really is, and there's nothing caricatured about that. For anyone in here who's been pregnant, and a great deal of you have, you can't control that. It just comes out of there. And I mean, the nurse did. You know, I could have a chat with Nana, and suddenly I was talking to somebody else. And she had no idea. And she lived that other part of the battleship. And once I was timorous, once I was mad enough to actually say, well, you're being really hormonal now. So you're forever like just tiptoeing around. The next day you're going, oh my God, were you hormonal? Yeah, was I hormonal yesterday? And I was like, well, I sewed it back on. So anyway, the long and short of it is that he didn't do anything unfair. He didn't do anything unrepresentative in that show that wasn't absolutely fair within the context of the script. They did. They cut out all his explanations as an actor. And if you have no excuses as an actor anymore in terms of what you're doing and how you're performing, it's terribly unfair. You're like Hamlet. When you start the show acting, you don't know that his mother's dead. You don't know that there's been all this. I mean, you don't know all these problems that might have happened. And you're like, well, why is he killing everybody? This is so offensive. He's just going around killing people. And well, the same for Armin. He had a very good reason. He had a great scene explaining that. But that's basically what the situation is. I don't know why I ended up on this subject.
Well, I just wanted to say, going through what he went through on that show myself, I didn't need the explanation. I actually explained it to some people that I knew who did get offended by it.
Do it. Keep on
And
doing it.
it was, I found it really, really accurate.
Yeah.
Even, like, it could have been more accurate, but in the comedic.
In the comedic, of course. Yeah.
I mean, first time I had hormones, I destroyed one of my $90 textbooks.
That's it. That's
And,
exactly how it
I mean,
works.
it's just completely, you're wacko, and your friends want to kill you.
Slipping hormones into my tea. Because I got it all wacko from time to time. But yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that
That's good, because
don't let
spread the
people
word,
who-
man. Because that's true. They just don't understand that stuff. They don't understand him. I'm laughing at the comedy thing. I'm serious. You're absolutely right. And he made a good. We had a long talk about it, part of the past. We were forever talking. I mean, he's like said, I got to play a woman. Not only has everyone done it in the world who I admire, and done it perfectly well, and it's been done 100 times every week just about in the history of television for a man to cross-dress and do the other one. But now they're asking me to do it. So what do we do that's new? Given the fact that the lines aren't particularly new within the situation, and how do I do it so it's honest? And we kind of looked at each other and left it at that. Yes. Oh no. Someone had a question over here. I'm coming up right back to you because I know I see the whatever. I'm already here. I have fallen asleep on stage. I admit to it myself, I have. I've fallen asleep on set. If I'm doing a scene, I mean, sometimes we do these, the suites, the salacious suites you can get there several weeks, and they kind of right or wrongly give you a scene where you end up asleep on the bio bed because you're ill or something, and you're meant to be out, and the doctor's about to work on you, and I'm gone. 20 minutes, and he's lying on that, and he's like, Sid, you can take lunch now. And I've been there for hours. And I've fallen asleep on the Eichmann thing that we did. That was the most boring rubbish we ever had. The audience fell asleep, so no one noticed. No one, and the whole theatre fell asleep. Kind of strange. But yes, I have, and I will again. I will again. I'm only getting older. Yes.
Now, given that obviously all that original footage that y'all shot to talk and they just put it together, it's supposed to be like a director's cut.
No.
They must be kind of love to
Yeah, they might, but it will never happen. Well, I do obviously have a cut, but I don't think I don't think it's possible that I could show it publicly without getting into a huge amount of trouble, most of which I don't even understand. I'll tell you why. I mean, I think, well, that's it. But they have to come from somewhere. And only one person actually has that copy, and that's the director, and that's the writer, obviously. And if, I think it's possible that, we didn't see the director's cut of Blade Runner, although the first 20 years, before it came out, even a bootleg copy, because the kind of trouble that director would have got into for letting it in there. We're not talking about just like, this is artistic freedom, I'm allowed to show you my copy. This is big time corporate nightmare mess that I'm getting into. And stuff I don't even understand. This isn't like going on stage and just showing a few bloopers from the show and packaging it. Or, bits and pieces that sometimes they're like, or using photographs without the Paramount logo on. This is actually using a complete $2 million show and showing it in a different format for a group of people. I think I would be broke. Broke after doing that. So I'd love to show it, but I can't. I mean, obviously, I lend it to you and you pass it to someone else, and you promise not to tell them where you got it from, maybe 600 people can have a look at it. It's not possible, and most of the shows, I mean, directors capture a pile of rubbish, really. I mean, most of the time. The studios usually know what they're doing. I don't know, directors catch usually an indulgent waltz or an extra 15 minutes of boredom that normally would have been spared. And I'm not a big believer in director's cuts. I think producers are a vital part of the situation, although I find they're a vital part of the process, and they have a good third eye. And it's useful to have that, even as a director. And if as a director you believe in the business that you are proponents of, which is that of cooperation and collaboration, and you are just merely just a kind of database gathering all the information, which is what a director really is, then you should be just as happy with the producer's cut, because that's the final collaborative gesture. But my show, of course, is the only exception. My director's cut is wonderful. It's best, and they should have shown it. I'm a genius. So I don't know. But they would have they would do a good business. Yes, you're right. In bringing out a whole edition of Star Trek shows, Next Generation, Originals, or whatever. If they got together a few directors and said, show us all your original cut. If they differ from the version by at least one scene, so one scene different is no good. It's got to be 2 or 3 scenes that are different, so there's something to see. And it mustn't really extend the length of the show, so it's not like 4 hours and stuff. I think they do a pretty brisk business in director's cuts of most of their shows. You know, everyone would like to see a different version of All Good Things Come to an End, or whatever it's called. Or a different version of most of their shows, you know. Yes, ex-pregnant lady.
Now that the show is coming to an end, are you getting any offers? If so, what kind of offers are you? Let me rephrase that. Where's the offer? And are they more directorial or acting?
I'm not really getting any offers, and I don't think I will. I'm one of those. I'm a tricky actor to cast, and I used to get big but I'm not really. I'm just still. I mean, when I get back out, and I get set free, they will put me. I will be back in the same boat I was before I came on. Star Trek was a cool time for me because I got to play a sub-race character, a sub-culturally specific character. I say sub and not more than, because it was just, it's like it's always been something we're about to talk about we never have. But it's clear that I am culturally specific. It's never have really got into the whole conversation. It's something which I love. I think it's great. Why do I get into it when we don't need to? I think when I get back out there, I will suddenly become pretty specific again. So I will become, I don't know whether it will be Indian or Arabic or South African or any place that my color is very prevalent. Egypt, the mixture, the kind of cappuccino. I don't know what the color it is. Wherever that goes on is what I'll be again. So until those jobs come up, and I really just don't want to do terrorists. I want to do much more. I'll get a lot of terrorist offers, believe me. I'll be there. They'll be wanting me to blow up, I don't know, whoever Arnold Schwarzenegger's next plane. My ideal lifestyle would be to do, if I am going to be, ideally my lifestyle would be, hey, they write a part for Hamlet. No, not Hamlet. Forget about Hamlet. Forget about Shakespeare. They write a part for, they write Friends. We all know Friends. That's a good way of looking at it. They have 3 guys, or whatever it is, and they're all guys from New York, and they're all guys from the Bronx in New York, or they're from Manhattan in New York. I don't know where they're from. And I walk in, or, I don't know, Denzel Washington walks in, and they haven't thought about what color he is yet, because they're just guys from New York. That's what I like. So then I can do whatever the hell I want. I've got the whole world, the market of acting open to me. Unfortunately, most of them have figured out exactly what they look like, and they all look like the writer. And there are no dark-skinned writers in Hollywood, man. I mean, there might be 1 or 2, but very few. So unless the writer was dark-skinned, the characters aren't dark-skinned. And unless they're thinking about that when you come in, they're like, you know, it's brilliant. I just wasn't thinking about him. I just wasn't thinking about that kind of, you know. But I have a terrorist coming up. I want to do a terrorist. 2 shows from now, I've got a terrorist you can do. And you know, I'll come to my ideal life would be, given the reality of the situation, to do one good job every 2 years, I think, which is what I could get. I think I could get that. And might be a good feature, you know, a great feature, whatever. And direct as much as I can in between. I'll be very happy with that. I'll be very happy with that. So with my children. And Nana's going to make all the cash. You know, she's the cash cow. She's going to be doing the sitcoms, and she is getting lots of people saying, hey, what can we do? You go, oh, okay, you've got time. Can we do that? Blah, blah, blah. She's great. And so we're all like going to do that, and I'm just going to build a shed or find something to do. I take the kids for a walk in the park. Yeah. What type of pet do you think Bashir would keep? I know you like pets. I know you're a pet person. Pet. That never occurred to me. Do you think fish? It's weird because they probably would. Do you think a dog? I think, you know, I might have to agree with them and disagree with you. I think cat probably would be. It's weird to me though because I wouldn't have a cat. And not because of anything else. I mean, not because of anything, but a cat is a cat. And I can't get anything out of it. I know people can. People get a lot out of cats. People tame lions for goodness sake. I'm like, kitty, kitty, kitty. Like,
unconditional love.
And, well, okay, gone. But I had 4 dogs, as I told everybody. I know something look at my table yesterday. 4 dogs. Dogs everywhere. But Bashir will probably have a cat. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're right. Oh, a canary. The classic thing happened. You can. I think I half agree with you. Canaries are pretty dull. But our canary got away yesterday. Agamemnon, his name is. I was telling people at the table that today too. Agamemnon, Nana, classic situation, but Nana cleaned the stage, the cage, and Agamemnon bailed. And my son Django, who's like just walking around going, Amnamnam? Amnamnam? Amnamnam sky? It crushes you when he gets talking. Oh my God. I'd rather him talking than doing right now. No doing, just talking. Yes.
Are you planning to stay in the States or go back to England?
I was planning to go back to England. But since I got into the whole marriage children situation, it's pretty impractical. So I don't think I'm going to go back to England. I might eventually, if we're secure enough, you know, to do that. It requires, I mean, it's much harder for me to ask Nana to go back to England and start completely new in a culture that is totally alien to her. And believe me, we speak an entirely different language. I consider myself bilingual now. I really do. I mean, you might not agree, but relation to the English contingent over here. And really, you're not English, you're Jersey, but kind of you mistake I made, not New Jersey, Jersey. Do you find it a totally different language? Have you ever had a lover or an intimate who's been American, for example, and or friend, great friend even. So I consider myself bilingual. I mean, really, I've been working on it for ages. Relationships will do that to you. And now I think I could, Nana couldn't go there, because she's not bilingual yet. She needs to be living in that country. And it would just infuriate her the way the English people are. It would just drive her mad. It would. It drove her mad for 2 years married to me. And finally she began to understand what I was saying. That I didn't actually mean that, or that I didn't actually intend for that to be the case. And that I was doing whatever it is linguistically an English person does, which is very different from American. Yeah. Thank you. She's very frank. Oh, Steve Burkoff, yeah, yeah. Nuts.
And then this sounds a bit like a different sort of Inquisition or
Oh, Inquisition, yeah. Yes, he has.
what I was wondering is, do you really care about the director advising stuff if you like that more people?
Oh, boy, yeah. And you know, Steve, now I've worked with Steve, I would hate to be directed by him. Steve, this is a question over here to Stephen Burkoff. He's done a lot of adaptations of Kafka, amongst that, and also a Greek play, Greek tragedy too. And would I like to be directed by him? Because I directed him in the first Clark show. And I said no, because he's a terrific guy, but nuts. And very weird, yeah, really weird. He does weird stuff with his hands. I have to keep stopping him from doing that. It's like, no, that's Steve Butch, don't do that. Do this, just act it out. It's very strange. He's a great actor though, I mean, and what he is a great playwright. And he wrote 3 or 4, like, you know, they're like anthems in English literature, modern literature. Some of the words he wrote. If you read the play he wrote called West, which is meant to be a huge deal. What's the Greek one? I can't remember this. Road is a big deal. He wrote that in. And they're all one word. You know, they're like think of modern pop groups and work your way backwards. Not quite pop, not quite mush, not quite blur. Why is everybody creeping over here?
That has to be the last question.
Oh, okay. It has to be the last question. I'm sorry.
I have a brief presentation today.
Always like brief presentations.
Great. Remember a couple of years ago that the club did a fanzine called Blue Historian. By popular demand, I was convinced to issue a story too, and the club gathered a whole bunch of other stories, and I wanted to present you with your copy.
Oh, very much indeed. Very good. Thank you very much indeed. For those who haven't seen it, there it is.
And it's over there too?
It's over there too?
For sale.
Oh, for sale. Gail and Joan are always the same, man. They give you something, and then you come back to it afterwards, it's like,
Your copy.
Charity's here.
Your copy is secondary. You're the inspiration.
You must make a couple of announcements. You don't need me here.
You can retire, or you can stay and listen to me make announcements.
I've been told exactly that. Thanks
Thank
very much.
I wanted to make the announcement